Hi everyone, it's Deb from Deb's RV Services and welcome to today's video. I have Michelle with me from
Peace of Mind RV Services.
and today we're going to talk about everything inspections. We're going to kind of give you an idea of why we went into becoming certified inspectors, where we went to school, and just maybe going over some of the tools that we use. So I'm really excited for you to join us for this video, and we look forward to giving you more information about what we do. Okay, first what we want to do is we want to kind of tell you why and how we became certified inspectors. Michelle and I got to know each other on Facebook, and we were in a group called Girl Camper. And we kind of, like somehow we started talking about our little campers. I think we both had the Tab. Was it the Tab? Yeah, the Tab 320. Did you have the 400?
I had the 400.
Okay, yeah. So she had the 400 and I had the 320. So her and I started talking there. And then we were also both in healthcare. So from that point, she's the one that kind of discovered the NRVTA school in Athens, Texas, and talked about wanting to become a certified inspector. And I'll let her tell you her story. But for me, I really grabbed onto that idea and thought it would be something really good because for hitting the road and going full time, a kind of a career that you could do from any location. So I was looking at wanting to do, I couldn't go to school at the same time she was because I was still busy raising my son who was graduating in 2020 at the height of COVID. And so I had to wait. And so I went to school in 2021 and became a certified inspector. But Michelle went a little bit before me, and I will let her tell you her story on how she became a certified inspector.
At the height of COVID, I was really burnt out on work, and I was a respiratory therapist for 21 years and decided to leave the profession for various reasons and sold my house. And I had been religiously watching a lot of YouTube videos from the full timers, and it became like a really huge desire. So I learned everything I could about camping and going full time in just watching YouTube videos, and got to know Debbie, and we were just talking back and forth. We exchanged phone numbers and got to know Debbie, and talking about how we could do this and make this happen. And so I just decided I just had enough, and I quit my job and I went full time, and I sold my house, sold everything in it, and got a storage unit and put a few things in storage, and went to the NRVTA down in Athens, Texas, and became an RV inspector. And then I got a job working out in Yellowstone as a work camper, and I was just going to take a year to give myself some time to decompress from everything that had went on, and get through all of those things. And in the meantime, Deb and I kept in contact, and we were talking about all things inspections and things like that, and getting our businesses up and going. And
Right, I think I asked you like a million questions.
Yeah.
What was it like, and what did you do after, and how did you do this? How did you do that?
I went at the end of 2020. So in November of 2020, I started, and then in December, I graduated and finished up.
Right. And then I went it was the following September, I believe, is when I went in 2021.
Yeah.
When I went to the inspection school. So yeah, I was really curious because she was ahead of me by a year on what it was like, and did she feel as a female going into something that would seem more of it as a male dominated field, how she felt about it. And I asked her questions like, were you smart enough to pass the test? I mean, was it, can I do this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking we both graduated from healthcare. We have license in healthcare. If you can pass those exams, I'm thinking you can pass anything, right?
Exactly.
So we're like, why not give it a shot? And that's kind of what we did. But she has a little bit of a different story. Like when you graduated and you got out and you were giving yourself some time, you had a circumstance happen where you met somebody. And so
I met my husband on the road.
Yeah.
When I was on my way to RV school, I was spending the night at a harvest host, and which is a program that allows you to stay at wineries and breweries and plantations and museums and things like that.
Farms and
Farms. Yeah, we've stayed at all kinds of unique places and just loved it. Absolutely love Harvest Hosts. But that's how we met. And they had overbooked the site, and they told the people at the plantation where we were staying at in Louisiana, said, if you go and knock on her door and ask her if it's okay if you stay in the same parking lot, and she says it's okay, then you can stay
right.
for one night.
Yeah, one night.
And so I said, sure, I don't care if you stay, and that's how we met. And then we got married on 2/2/22 at 2:22 in the
Oh
afternoon.
my gosh, really?
Yes, at 2 o'clock in the 2:22 in the afternoon on 2/2/22.
Oh, that's
married.
really great. That's awesome. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yep,
Two's
and
our
the
lucky
rest is
number, I
history.
guess.
Yeah, you're in the twos for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. Yeah, and he's a really nice guy. I've met him, and they're a great couple. So
And he's an engineer, so he helps me. He's a civil engineer, and he just happened to know a lot about RVs.
mhm.
And he fixes things in our RV, and him and I worked together. We just replaced our refrigerator by ourselves. We took out our refrigerator and put in a 12-volt fridge, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic because we worked together on this, and we learned together and things like that. So
That's really great. And Michele, something else she did was she went to another program outside of the NRVTA for some technician certifications.
So I'm a level 1 certified technician.
And what school was that through? Because it was online.
NRVTA, RV Technical Institute.
Okay.
They had a deal for $300 at the end of last year where you could complete the online course to be a level 2 certified technician. I haven't finished the level 2 yet, but I did the level 1. You do it in stages, and it's all online. And then for the level 2, you go and spend a week there, and they go over everything. You can do it in person or you can do it online. I chose to do the first part online, and then the second part I'm still working on. I have until December. You have a year to finish it. But for $300, I did that program.
And it's a really good deal.
And it was good CEUs and good refresher course for me, and I loved it.
That's great.
I really did.
So
I was terrified, but I loved it.
Right. I know. Yeah, it's a little scary. I went back in 2022 to the NRVTA, and I did 3 of the 4 classes for the certification in tech. So that's kind of what I did. But I would still go to that school and learn even more, because when you get out of the school, no matter what you're doing, if it's the inspection course or the tech course, there's so much to learn, and you've got to really get that hands-on training.
Yes.
But then afterwards, you look for more training. You shadow people. You take online free courses, maybe from Lippert. You take other courses like what Michele did. I mean, there's just so many options, but you just got to continually get educated, because there's really a lot. It's more like you get the basics in the class, and it's a lot of information, so you're kind of overwhelmed. And then when you get out there, especially for the inspector course, like I got out of school and it was September. In October, I got back to Michigan and I got slammed with calls. So I learned hands-on right away because of that. So when you get out there and you start doing these inspections and you're looking at all types of different RVs and you're not quite sure where this is located or that's located, you have to do research before each inspection so that you understand from that manufacturer where things are located, and maybe some of the components and what they're made of, and everything, like the slides and everything, like what you're going to be inspecting, so that you have like a little bit of a heads up. Otherwise, you're going to be spending like 2 days there trying to do it.
Lippert has been great for offering free CEUs for us, and anybody can do it. And they also have an RV owners school that you can go to through Lippert, and just learn more about how to maintain your RV.
Maintaining the RV is huge. One thing, we didn't go into a ton about maintaining the RV in the school, and that's something that I really wanted to kind of focus on when I got out, was doing preventative maintenance. So like as far as sealant, you go over a little bit with how to apply sealant, but I had to really do some research afterwards, because I really wanted to focus on that, and aside from the inspections, is, what types of sealant to use, how to apply it correctly, how to clean it. There's just a lot. Yes. And so, you have to do other research.
It's just like your body. If you take care of it, it lasts longer.
Right.
just that's how it is.
It is how it is. So what would you say the scariest part about getting out there and inspecting your first RV was?
Ooh, just making sure that I didn't miss anything. I was terrified that I would miss something
Yes.
um, and or say the wrong thing or um, just nervous about mostly about am I going to do this right? I just wanted to do it right and do a good job.
Right. You want to do right by the customer. And that's kind of how I felt too. I mean, I got out there at my first one and, there's like this companion device you use and you kind of go through it. But after a while, you want to set that up so that
Mm-hmm.
it is more in line with how you inspect. So, for instance, it sets up things like sidewalls and
Mm-hmm.
then it sets up areas like your slides. And what I wanted to do is go through the whole sidewall and hit the slide so that I didn't have to go around and do all the sidewalls and then come back and do all of the slides.
Yes.
You realize that you can be much more time, efficient
Efficient.
by going through and sticking with the same side of it because sometimes you just get like for me, I would get a little like caught up in what I was doing and not looking at that device, just trying to focus on what I was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might miss something. So,
Yes.
in order to not miss anything, you really do have to check off on your list
On your
too, on your
checklist.
device. So, you want
Yes.
your device set up so that it goes in accordance to how you're going to actually do your inspection.
Yes. I did not want to miss a thing because I just wanted to do such a good job, and that's what scared me the most was I was going to miss something
Right,
that
right.
was important.
Exactly.
So the checklist is essential.
Yeah, the checklist.
The checklist.
And I know that each inspector offers different types of inspections. So when I first got out, I had 3 different levels. Like what they kind of teach in the school is that you can have a premier and an essential plus, and then an essential inspection. And I kind of dwindled mine down to just the premier type of inspection, the top of the line, because I felt like I was spending the same amount of time regardless
Mm-hmm.
On
Yeah.
if I saw something, I was going to report it.
Yes.
So, but what we've come to, like Michelle and I have talked a lot about, is doing something that's more of a checklist inspection for people that maybe necessarily don't want the premium inspection with the report, because with the NRVIA standards, we have to complete an entire inspection and then a report, which is very time consuming and it's very detail oriented for those that want it. But I found that I had a lot of people that just wanted some eyes and ears on the RV. And they said, well, can't you just go out there and tell me if there's water damage? Or can't you just do, this, check these
Just
items?
check the roof. I
Right.
just need somebody to look at the roof.
Right.
Because I can't climb up there.
Exactly. So some of what I started doing, and I know Michelle, she can speak to what she started doing. I offered like kind of a consultation service where I met the person, the buyer, out by the RV, and we kind of went through it together. And they were able to take notes and just write down some of the things that I found or things that were not correct, and then make their decision. And it was a little bit of a lower price point because they weren't getting a report the next day, and they agreed to this. And then it was more of like an hourly based type of inspection.
Yeah.
And then Michelle and I were talking about doing more of a checklist inspection, and I'll let you kind of explain what you started doing with your clients.
I ask my clients if I go and do this inspection, and they would want the whole inspection, and then if it was something that they were um, kind of wavering on by the time I was finished with my inspection, and I did the phone consultation with them afterwards. If they don't want the full report, I say, if you don't want the full report, I'll give you an allowance of such and such to not have the report. And then that saves me time the next day and I can work on something else the next day. And they don't get the whole report afterwards, but they've already made their decision that this maybe wasn't such a good buy after all.
Mm-hmm.
So just in speaking with them, they can decide if they want the full report, or they can decide beforehand if they just want me to type up a sheet saying these are the things that I found, and then they can take that to their dealer and say, if you fix these things before I pay for it, then if you'll fix those things, then I'll put the money down and go ahead with the purchase.
Right.
But they want those things fixed, and that's an important point. That if you're buying an RV, make sure that before you pay for the RV in full, that you get the things fixed before you pay for it. That way, they're anxious to get those things fixed for you.
Mm-hmm.
If they have your money and you've already paid for it, they're going to take their sweet time fixing that RV for you. But if you owe them money and they want to get these things fixed so that they can meet their quota for the month and sell that RV by the end of the month, they're going to get that stuff fixed for you right away. And then you can always call us back and say, hey, will you go out and I've done this before. I went out and did a reinspection of the things that were supposed to be fixed. And I got to one place and they had done nothing. They had done nothing. They had not done anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the buyer ended up walking away. She got her refund back of everything that she had put down, and she didn't end up buying the RV. And one of the biggest problems with that RV was the motor of the the motor of the awning would not go out. It wouldn't work at all. So if she would have bought that without an inspection, and they kept saying, oh, you need to put the money down. We got some other people interested, and
Mm-hmm.
don't let them bully you.
Exactly. That's a really important point, because what I find with my clients is most of them will say that the dealer told them, you don't need to have an inspection because we do a PDI. And it's just not as thorough at all. And I can tell you that every single dealership that I've been to, I have always found something. There's never been a time that I've actually walked away and said there was zero issues on this. And the minute you leave that dealership lot with your new RV and you try to call in to get your warranty work, it's going to be weeks and weeks or months before they have you back in, because they're so booked up.
That's why you go and get everything fixed before you pay for that RV.
Yeah.
Get everything done and get it in writing what they're going to fix.
That's right. And with our reports too, so one of the things I do with my clients is when I complete the report, they can create a checklist from the report that they give to their dealer that they can use, and it can be forwarded via email through the software that I use.
Yes.
They can forward that directly to them. So that's a really nice feature of HomeGauge, which is the software that I use.
Yes.
So what we thought we would do too is go through maybe some of the tools that we use.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. Which one do we want to feature first?
Well, let's start with the multimeter.
Okay.
We use our multimeter to do a hot skin test.
Mm-hmm.
And which is this is the multimeter.
And
one here.
And the hot skin test is basically something that we do before we access the RV. It's the first thing we do to make sure that there's no excess voltage, because there could be some type of short or wire that is, reverse polarity switched or something, and then there is voltage on the outside. And I have done a hot skin test where along the entire trim on the outside of the RV, there was voltage. And so it's really important to check that, because if you are in, barefoot and you step out of that RV and you step on those steps, you could get a little zap, and you don't want that, especially if you have, children. You don't want something like that to happen. Yeah, it won't be pleasant.
Yeah. And it can be very dangerous and even fatal if it's
a high enough voltage. It sure can.
Voltage. So this is a life safety issue.
Yeah, and we have several life safety issues. So that's one of them, is doing that. And then we didn't bring out a propane leak test kit to show you, but it is one of the major life safety issues that we test that we do. We test at the stove level, and we hook a manometer up, and then you're just basically testing water column, and you're making sure that it holds the pressure. And if it doesn't, then there's a leak somewhere. So even though you're supposed to have working, propane detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, 9 times out of 10, I go on an RV and they're completely outdated, because they're supposed to be replaced every, I think it's like 5 to 7 years for those, that particular, and they're not. And so it might not be working for you. Plus you can have leaks on the outside of the RV, not necessarily on the inside.
Yeah.
That happens too. So it's good to do the test, and you can test it from, like, if you have an external port, that's for a grill. You can test it that way. But what I do, another step that I do in my inspections is I bought another Klein tool that is a propane sniffer. So if I can't do the test because it's a closed system, which means that, you know, I can't really test, I can't access anything, I'll still go around with my propane sniffer around the areas that use propane, and I will see if that detector goes off. So it's another method.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
another thing I use is for any USB outlets. I plug this in, and it tells me the voltage that it should be putting out, and it should be right around 5. For
yes.
And I found brand new rigs that the USB ports don't work. I found brand new rigs, and the USB ports are not even working. So this is a little USB port tester, and it's very cheap. You can get them on Amazon.
And I like this one because the one that I have, and I meant to purchase this, but I haven't yet. This you can plug in, and this can be turned either way. Because the one that I have, it's like a little, I didn't bring it out, and maybe I'll bring it out later and show you, but mine is rigid. So if it plugs in and this is upside down, I have to tilt my head under there and try to read it. But this one, you can plug it in and you can turn it whatever direction. So this one's a really nice one. I like this one.
Yeah. And then I always have my flashlight.
Flashlights are essential. You know, when you're looking at, so like this is a tire pressure monitor. It will tell you, you know, how much pressure you have in your tires. There's 2 different types here. And one of the things that you have to do is also look at the DOT on the tires. And it is not fun to try to find the DOT on the inner wall of a tire or underneath. So the flashlights are super important. And then sometimes I use something like this, and this is a mirror so that I can put it like kind of behind the tire and flip this up and try to find out, see if I can read that DOT.
Another thing I do is I take a piece of chalk and rub it over the numbers, and it makes them pop so that you can see the white chalk will outline the letters and the numbers, so I can read those numbers and things better and to determine the date of the tires.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that chalk makes it.
It really helps.
Pops out.
Yeah. I know that another method I found is taking my phone and I kind of reverse camera and stick it in the inner wall.
Yes, I've done that before.
And just keep snapping pictures until I find it.
Until you get it.
Right. Look, I see a number. It's somewhere right there.
And then another thing I do is I take Post-it notes and I'll write which tire it is or where I'm at on the RV, especially if I'm on the roof. I'll write, you know, front fan, rear of front fan, and I'll write it on there, and then I'll take a picture with this little Post-it note stuck right there so that I know where I'm taking that picture and in reference to what I'm doing. So
oh yeah,
I always use these Post-it notes and my pencil, and I write on there.
And that's really brilliant, and I'm going to do that. Like I went and inspected an RV with my friend Carol. I did a video with her not too long ago. And what she did was she made cards that were laminated. And so whenever she's doing a tire, it'll have like the tire that she's working on. She first snaps the picture of that, and it shows you what tire she's working on.
Oh,
and then you look around, you just take your pictures.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times what I would do originally was just like kind of take a picture and show like, okay, I am on the curbside and this is the front because I'm showing you a view of the front. And then I would fill it in. I would spend all the time filling it in on my companion device so that I wouldn't forget, when I could have just taken a sticky or a card. And then I would know that way I can do it when I get home, because sometimes we don't want to spend 10 to 12 hours out there doing this, you know, in the baking sun. You want to just get through, take your pictures, inspect everything, and then when you get home, you can put it all together. Sometimes that's just really important to knock out some of the time.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, that's a really good idea.
And it also gives the customer, when you put that Post-it beside it, when they get that picture, when the customer gets that picture and they say, oh, this is the front side or front tire, curbside, so they know it's on the passenger side, and it's the front tire, and they have that picture of what you're talking about.
Exactly. And you know, some of what she's mentioning has to do with the checklist inspection more than the home gauge one. So with the home gauge inspection, where you get the report, it does label what tire you're on. But if I have a client or Michelle has a client that preferred to have a checklist inspection and you're sending her just the pictures possibly of what things you found that were incorrect, that you need that kind of label on there. So it's important to have a labeling system for those items.
Yeah. So another thing that I use is this little monitor. First thing when I go into an RV, I put one of these in the freezer and one of these in the refrigerator, and then let that get up to temperature, and it gives us a good idea of what the temperatures are in the fridge and the freezer. We also heat up a cup of water, and we test it after 1 minute. We test to make sure the microwave is heating things up to what it should be.
Yep. And then we, back on the fridge for a second, it is required that they have their refrigerator on for 12 hours prior.
Yes.
And I have shown up plenty of times where I couldn't get the refrigerator to get to proper temp because it does take that, refrigerator a while to get up to temperature. So it's important for them to do that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you talk about that.
Okay. So this is a voltage tester and GFCI tester. So what we do is, and there's two different types, and I have this one. It has more of a screen on it.
This is what I use for my screen.
Yep. And that's a nice one. So you just plug this into the outlet. It'll tell you if you have 120 volts or maybe it's 118, 119, depending on what's running in the coach. But then you can press this test button if it's the GFCI, and you are supposed to have GFCI protection, especially around sinks and your exterior.
Yeah.
And so you test to make sure that that's working correctly.
You can push that button and it pops your GFCI.
It pops it. Yep.
And make sure that it pops it, and then you can go back in and reset it and test it again and make sure that it's working again.
And it can also, this can also tell you if you have like a reverse polarity. Yeah. So it'll let you know on the screen that it is not correct so that you can notify your client.
Yep.
And I have a couple other things like this is a magnet. So this is more for tech. I don't really use, I don't really unscrew a lot in inspections except when we're taking off like a propane detector or, with the smoke detectors and stuff. But if I lose a screw, this is coming really handy. I can just kind of feel around and it just attaches to this right away, and then I can find it.
Pull it out.
Yep. And then this is an infrared thermometer. Something else I have so there are a lot of higher end coaches that will have heated floors.
Yes.
I have another device, so I could take a temperature of the floor and see that it's heating. Another thing I have is it's something called, I think, Flick, and it is something I attach to. It's another tool that I purchased. I actually didn't purchase it. I got it from my brother-in-law, who was so kind to give it to me. But what it does is it will it's like that infrared. It takes pictures and lets you know if there's heat. So you can take a picture and it can let you know if there is heat in the area. So it's a good to use for inspections. So it can tell you if the floor is heated.
It's warm.
Yes. Now those can be used for water detection too, but my friend Carol that uses hers said it's really not. There's a whole lot of training that has to go into being able to test for water. I think that water detection is. I do have a detection device that I can put into areas to see if it shows a percentage of water, and if I saw an area of suspect, I could use that, but it's also not reliable. So they don't really promote using those at our school, but I really do. Our eyes can tell us a lot about water. There's so many ways. It's like, and we're like little detectives, right? Yeah. It's like a crime scene. We're trying to figure it out.
Crime junkies.
And we love crime scenes. It's another thing we have in common. But yeah, you kind of look on the roof and you can see like what the sealant's doing and what it looks like. And then you're like, let me go on the inside and check there and see if there's anything in the corner or behind a shelf or anything like that where it looks like there could be some rot or something peeling, and you just kind of go through and you figure it out.
You lift up cushions. You go, when you're buying an RV, you have a tendency to be enamored by everything that's, oh, this is beautiful. I love these curtains, and I like the way this blind comes down, or I like the fabric on this chair and things like that. We lift up everything. We lift up every cushion, and I have found water standing under cushions before. I've found black sticky stuff under cushions. I have found, I've folded out. We go through everything and we fold out couches, and I found mouse droppings in those couches and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Whereas somebody who's getting ready to buy an RV, you're so excited and you're so ready to buy something, and you've been searching for a long time, and you finally think you found the right one, that you might overlook something. So we do this as a living, and this is what we go through, and we pull out everything, and we look for those mouse droppings and the water damage and anything that could ruin your
experience.
Right.
And
we want you to have a good
and
experience.
pocketbook.
Yes.
Destroys your pocketbook.
Yes.
But yeah, we do it all for you. We test the generator. We test. I mean, it's things that aren't in normal tests. So, for instance, if you have a water heater that works on electric and propane, we're testing both electric and propane, making sure it heats up on both systems. Because what the dealer will do is they'll turn on the hot water for you. They'll probably use the gas or the electric feature, but they're not using the other. And I've been in a dealership where one worked and the other didn't, and they had to repair that. So it's a lot. So we're testing if it is equipped with solar and inverter and everything. We're making sure that the inverter is working. We take it off of shore power. We test it that way, and then when it's on generator mode, we're testing to make sure it can hold a load.
Yes.
Because that's the other part, is that it's not just that the generator works, it's that it works, while it's running the air conditioner, while it's running the microwave at the same time, that it can handle that load. You want it to be able to handle the load. So yeah, inspections have a lot of detail, and it's just a lot more. And I really love my job. I love what I do to help people, and there's just so much to it. There's just not enough time for dealers to do a proper inspection, even if they decided to do it a little more thoroughly. There's just not enough time to do it. And the average person doesn't know all the things to look for, nor do they want to take the time to go and spend 8 hours in the dealership trying to test all the systems.
And invest money in all these tools.
Investing the money in all these tools and the education. So that's what
to know what to look for.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so important.
Yeah, it truly is. So
new or used.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it's a new RV or a used RV. I have found things in both, and it's very important to test every single system in the RV, depending whether it's new or used. And it's just I just feel like it's an essential thing. When I bought my camper, my Tab 400, it was my very first one. I didn't even know how to back it up. I had to go across the street and get my neighbor, who was a young kid, and he backed it in for me. And I didn't move that RV until the next March. I didn't move it. It sat there from October to March, and it was already winterized. I didn't know how to winterize it, anything. I learned on YouTube. I learned how to I watched video after video after video on
YouTube. It can be really great for helping you learn stuff.
Oh my goodness, I was terrified.
I was too, like shaking terrified.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I videotaped I was lucky because I bought the Tab, and it was fantastic to learn with because it was small, and it was easy for me to handle, but also it was well built. I truly believe in their products, and they're a really good company to work with. But they were very good at talking to me on the phone and helping assist me with fixing my furnace. When I first got out of school, I was like, oh, my furnace isn't working, and I was down in Texas, and I was cold. It was the first year, that was the year that they had that frost and freeze, and I was really cold, and I had to learn how to fix my own furnace. And the school gave me the confidence. The people at New Camp, which make the Tab, gave me all the assistance I needed, and I really, really learned a lot that way just by getting out and doing it. But I didn't know about inspections then, and so I didn't have an inspection. I just got lucky that I had a good rig.
Exactly.
And what was wrong with my furnace was I had a little bug, I think they're like those crunchy bugs, had gotten in my furnace and had offset the little wheel and fan that goes around. So I just had to get on there and sweep out that little bug, and it worked fine.
It's amazing what little bugs and debris can do to damage your RV.
Yes.
So I think that I can't see the clock on how much time we've spent, but I'm pretty sure we've done. This is probably enough information
And we
for
got through
everyone.
it without laughing.
I know. Now we're going to just crack up. We make each other laugh. We're easily amused.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys and thank Michelle for doing this video with
Thank
me.
you for having me.
Oh, you
I
are so
appreciate it.
welcome.
I love Deb. She's
Oh
a
my
sweetheart.
gosh. Yeah, she's so sweet too. And we're camping together right now, so we thought we would do this video together, and we might create some other things too.
Yeah.
Some shorts we were talking about. So
show you our fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll do some fun stuff. So please comment and like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.